I can't pull us up on Twitch, but
I got it on Twitch. It's working. It's actually working on Twitch for the first time.
let's do it. Oh, I thought that was
I'll
you.
tell you.
All right. Well, I think we may have some of our technical issues figured out. We will just keep going until it goes out. If the tournament, for some reason, you hear my audio come out or the internet falls again, just remember that we will have all of these posted on YouTube for you later on this week. We are in round 2 of 6 of the Clockwork Games Lorcana 1K. We're watching Cruz piloting Amber Ruby versus Parker piloting Emerald Steel. We saw 2 Mufasas on the board at one point on Cruz's side of the board. Looks like both of those got taken out for a Maleficent and a Doc. We see that enchanted Peter Pan looked like taking out that Maleficent. Very neat to see. And there's that Doc, really showing why it's incredibly strong, having the ability not only to lore for 2, but also reduce the casting cost of the next character. And Parker shows his hand, seeing what's on the board, and gives a handshake to Cruz. Cruz taking this game. Again, we appreciate y'all coming out today here to 20 Lore Pro and our Twitch channel. If you miss any of the rounds or if our internet goes out, we will make sure to have those up on our YouTube later on this week for you to watch. We'll see if our producer can see what game we're on out of the match. I imagine that we're 1-1 right now, but I'll have our producer check that out real quick. As well as see if we can't reset the lore count. Cruz did win that last match. I believe that's currently 1-1. While we're waiting on that update, I just want to thank everyone for coming out here to 20 Lore Pro. We were excited to be a part of the Hunter Burden Memorial Lorcana Championship last week. We'll have those videos up on our YouTube for you to watch by tomorrow night. We'll try to have these rounds for the Clockwork Games Lorcana 1K up this week. And again, I'm your announcer, SirAshtown. Behind the scenes, we have our producer, Luxac, and our head judge for today's tournament is our 20 Lore Pro Discord founder, Stunning Rob. We want to thank them so much for the support that they give to 20 Lore, and for you, the viewer, for joining alongside us as we try to watch and learn some of the best in competitive Lorcana. It's always exciting to be able to watch these 1Ks, especially as we are working our way up into May, looking at those Lorcana challenges. I know a lot of people are looking into August going to Atlanta. Us being in, 20 Lore being in the Texas area, for sure we'll be going to the tournament in Fort Worth. So if you are looking for one to travel to and you want to meet the 20 Lore team alongside playing, you can head on over to Fort Worth with us as we go to the Lorcana Challenge. Really great to see these two players playing really some great decks. Emerald Steel, with the Bucky and the Floodborns, really having the ability to just make your opponent discard. And Mufasa not being afraid to get challenged and banished because it knows that it will have somebody else take its place. I'm learning from our producer that we're fixing our coverage for the tablet that keeps track of the player scores and the game wins. When we lost internet, it actually reset all of our applications, and so that's why we currently don't have those up to date. I do believe that Cruz won that last game. We'll check to see if it's 1-1 though. It is in fact 1-1. Parker 1 win, Cruz 1 win, and we are going now into game 3. Well, we want to thank our competitors Cruz and Parker for being willing to play here on the feature match, and for you, the viewer, joining us today as we head into game 3 of round 2 of competitive Lorcana here at Clockwork Games. There is the famous turn 2 Bucky, that little squirrel that just loves to take more and more resources from their opponent. Cruz following it up with a queen. This little rush queen can turn into a big shifter at some point. If nothing else though, if there are no shifts in the deck, it can at least rush out on turn 2 or be inked later on in the game. I know that shift queen on top of this lower queen really is a strong strategy when you want to draw a lot of cards. The big queen allowing you to draw every time a character challenges an opponent's character. Wow, and there's Parker with a second to Bucky. What a strong start here into game 3. Really where Parker would want to be in this match. Cruz laying down a Mother Gothel from Rapunzel. A really great target. If Cruz is playing Rapunzel, we know that Rapunzel can come down and heal. That'll allow him to have 3 more cards in his hand, as well as a healthy 3/4. Looks like Cruz decided to quest with the queen, playing down a lantern over there on the left side of the board. That Mother Gothel being taken out there. It looks like by Let the Storm Rage On. Heading over to Cruz's turn, who's got a second lantern on the board. Using 4. Sometimes I miss some of the cards that these opponents are playing. Coverage is a little fuzzy on my end, but he decides to take a Mufasa to hand. Parker looking to utilize these Buckies to try to make sure that he can play as many Floodborns as he possibly can in order to make Cruz discard 2 every single time. Plays a Beast, taking an enchanted Maui from Cruz. Cruz famous for having played every copy of Enchanted Maui as he can. That Beast here, not only allowing Parker to have Cruz discard 2, also allowing Parker to be able to draw cards at his upkeep. This Beast is going to be a big problem for Cruz if Cruz isn't able to deal a little bit of damage to this Beast. Many of you know Beast, really a high-priced card at this time, a hot commodity. Able to do a lot of work here for Parker. Cruz discarding his last card. Looks like a Prince Eric. Cruz here with Mufasa on the board from his last turn. We see Parker playing a Robin Hood Champion of Sherwood to get rid of that last card out of Cruz's hand. This Robin Hood has been seeing a lot of play lately. Not only is it an amazing shift character, Floodborn, that can shift into the low drop Robin Hood that's a 1-drop, but also its ability and body are just great characteristics of the card. Here's Cruz gaining as much lore as he can, trying to quest, not really caring about the consequences, knowing that he needs to just get on the board, hoping that this Mufasa might turn into something a little bigger. Looks like Parker's really setting up his board here to also start turning sideways and questing to gain as much lore as he can. using that Robin Hood to sing Grab Your Swords, dealing 2 damage and taking out the queen. That's another reason why this Robin Hood is so strong, being a 5 inkable character, able to sing a lot of the great 5-drop songs that we have currently in Lorcana, like not the Let the Storm Rage On, but it could sing that. A Whole New World and Grab Your Swords. Really wonderful 5 ink songs that players want to play. We're still working on that tablet for y'all over there on Twitch. That way you can be aware of where Cruz is at with his lore count. Cruz playing a Rapunzel, able to draw himself a card, healing one of his characters. We saw Parker, knowing that Cruz doesn't have any cards in his hand, is just top decking, used that one of the 2 Buckies that he had to get rid of that Mufasa. That Rapunzel able to come down and just give Cruz a little bit of a hand here. I believe he's got 2 cards in hands now. Here's that Rapunzel up there on the screen for you to see. I'm excited for the new version of Rapunzel that's coming out with the challenge. Oh, and here is Parker with a relentless beast. This relentless beast, just whenever an opposing character is damaged, you may ready this character, can really start getting in there and start clearing a lot of Cruz's characters. Parker also having gained, I believe, 2 to 3 cards so far off of that beast, readily utilizing him, decides to quest with it to gain some lore. Parker here so far is really showing the power of Bucky. He was able to utilize Bucky and the Floodborn characters in his deck to take away Cruz's hand. Looks like we have the updated lore count and game score for you on the screen. We now know that Cruz has 10 lore to Parker's 4. This is a scary moment for Parker as we see a huge Scar come on the board, taking out that big beast, as well as Robin Hood, Champion of Sherwood. What a strong card to come down. This Scar just has Rush and the ability to challenge characters and then re-ready himself if he banishes them. Not quite a Be Prepared, but in this situation, strong enough to get rid of a lot of Parker's just push that he needed to get to the end here. This will be interesting to see what Parker does to try to get back into this match. It seemed like for a moment there, Parker had really stabilized and was really getting ahead, but... And there's a beast! Now we see Cruz here with no cards in hand with 13 lore. It looks like that beast really does help Parker getting back into this. Beast here able to double challenge. We'll see if he decides to. He decides to challenge once and then quest for a second, leaving that Rapunzel on the board. Decides to sacrifice Bucky, dealing 1 damage to that Rapunzel, which allows him to then re-ready the Beast Relentless, so that way he can quest again. Wow, I had not seen that before, using beasts like that to quest. Use another character to deal damage, and then you use beasts to request. A strong way to try to re-catch up here for Parker, as he tries to gain some momentum here, being down 8 to 13 for Cruz. Cruz playing that new Madame Medusa, able to target and get rid of one of Parker's cards. Both of these players really trying to just gain as much lore as they can and try to find some advantage here on the board. I believe that's a Tinkerbell that had just come down. Able to deal 1 damage to all of Cruz's characters. Parker, thinking about what to do next with his hand, decides to go ahead and pass it back to Cruz. Turns like this, when the game is so close, every little bit matters. As Cruz is just top decking now, trying to find some outs. Hopefully he finds some cards that he's able to play. If not, he'll have to pass it back to Parker, which he does. Could possibly be that he drew into a Maleficent Dragon, or maybe another Scar. Scar being a 7-drop, only to play... He reveals the card. Parker takes out Cruz's Lantern. Looks like Parker is really stabilizing here with a lot of characters on the board. Cruz not having quite enough ink in his inkwell to be able to cast Be Prepared if he does draw into it. Able to draw a card off the top. Parker catching up here now at 12 to Cruz's 13. Cruz hasn't been able to quest for several turns now as Parker has developed his board state. We'll see what Cruz can maybe draw off of his top to try to come back into this match. Parker trying to get as much advantage as he can in order to maintain his strong board state. Playing a Floodborn, looks like a Robin Hood. Able to discard, looks like a Surfer Stitch from Cruz. Again, this Robin Hood being an MVP in a lot of decks, just having that 3/6 body, the ability to gain you lore when he challenges or banishes a character, and when he himself is banished, able to draw you a card. A great option for a lot of Steel players as they're looking to gain advantage in some way. Cruz getting a card off the top. Looks like a let the Strength of the Raging Fire. And there's a handshake. Parker takes it 19-13. Emerald Steel Bucky Floodborn against Cruz's Amber Ruby Mufasa. What a great match from these two competitors as we really saw the strength of Bucky here in Game 3 of Round 2 here at the Clockwork Games Lorcana 1K. We want to thank y'all so much for coming here on Twitch. We'll be streaming all the rest of the rounds and hopefully into top 8. Thank y'all for joining us here for the best in competitive Lorcana as we continue into round 3 here in just a little bit. Thank y'all again for watching, and I will see y'all then.